a video, and you can see that we use 1.8 watts pulsed with a 90-degree tip of 10 millimeters in length. They come in 5 and 10 and 15 millimeters in length. We start initiating the tip, and we start crown troughing, going very slightly into the sulcus, moving very slow with brush-like strokes to gently remove the gingival sulcus. Every time that a little bit of debris piles up on the tip, you stop and use a wet gauze, not alcohol, but just a wet gauze, to remove the debris that gathers onto the tip. Short brush-like strokes. You're not trying to go deep into the sulcus, just half a millimeter or so. If you notice the angulation of the tip is always at about 60 degrees to the margin. You can see, in fact, in the distal that perhaps I had not created enough space for the diode, which is a 400 micron tip, to get in between to really create a nice sulcus there. If you notice a little bit of charring, you should lower your energy settings. In this case, you can see that there's not a lot of charring occurring. We're progressively moving circumferentially around the tooth, again constantly angling towards the tooth, and every time that a small amount of debris picks up on the tip, we stop and remove it with the wet gauze. We're now on the facial aspect of the tooth, and again looking through the operating microscope at around 5.3 times magnification. Now as we come to the mesial in a second, the last little bit of the mesial, you'll see me bump up the magnification here to 8 times magnification to complete the troughing. What I'm looking for are small areas where perhaps the tissue is still on the margin, like on the distal here, where I just want to remove that tissue so that the impression is picked up clearly by the polyvinyl siloxane impression material. Moving now to the mesial, again I'm doing short brush strokes to create a separation of the tissue from the margin so the lab can clearly discern where the margin ends and where the tissue begins. Times you'll see tissue tags, which can be removed with short direct brush strokes to remove these tissue tags, and eventually either using hydrogen peroxide in an ultra-dense syringe or a wet cotton pellet to remove any tissue that has been sloughed off and is white in appearance. At this point, the troughing took about 3 minutes. You can see there's no bleeding. The tissue appears healthy in color, and we're getting close to a point where we can take an impression. If you feel that lateral distension is needed, you can use materials like X-Bacil or Traxident to accomplish this task. You'll now be able to see the stills of the final procedures, both at low and high mag, before the impression was taken. Here's a clear view after the impression was taken, and finally with the provisional in place. This is Dr. Glenn Van Ass saying goodbye and keep lasing. It's amazing.